because the Cisco password is in that documentation. So we think everywhere this consulting company was in to bring up an MPLS and BGP network, the same passwords are used and the same passwords are Cisco. Funny enough. So, time to switch over to the next topic, to the next focused point. It's MPLS. What is MPLS? MPLS in short is multi-protocol label switching, described mostly in RFC 3031, and it's mainly used for forwarding packets based on labels. So if there are some information on the network and the information drops on a router, the router sees, oh, the destination of this packet is some other MPLS router, and I have to label it. It's almost like the same like an like labeling. You put some information on that packet, and a lot of carriers are now providing since a long time this technology MPLS, and MPLS is also subverted into another technologies. There are so-called MPLS layer 3 VPNs or some MPLS layer 2 VPNs, which are focused later on in the talk. And all these technologies and the substances of the technology can be found in a lot of companies which are used to bring some local infrastructure to a better state, and also at some enterprise or carrier networks. And to look what can we do if we are inside of such a network with this label information will be part of this slides. MPLS layer 3 VPNs are the base technology on RFC 4364 and has its own terminology. So you can use frame relay or ATM information also, but MPLS is the better way. It's a newer technology. So you have a high virtual infrastructure inside of this MPLS, and you have to compare that everything you are configuring on the MPLS router is on the right state. So you also have to use additional MPLS labels. So there's a label on the label to establish the logical parts and the circuits to get into this network. So it's also feasible with other topologies to have an information crossing the MPLS network. To get some focused information about the MPLS network, there are some different routers of the network which can be used. So you have the CE router, which is a customer-equipped device which stands on the customer side, and you have a PE router. The PE router is at the border of the MPLS cloud, so the customer device and the PE device are communicating with each others, and there are some C networks, which are the customer networks, and the P networks, which are the provider network. So all these parts of the MPLS network are used to build up a working MPLS. In MPLS layer 3 VPNs, you have a lot of information. The information are located on the PE router, and this information are some VRF, virtual routing forwarding information, and you use this information to bring up a logical routing table for each customer, and a customer can be located here at a VPN A and a VPN B. So you have a couple of customers located and directed to one PE, and only the VRF information separates the customer from each other. So you have virtual VPN routing tables, and you have a global routing table, because the PE routers and the P routers also have to communicate with each other. So a more complex view is this one. You have a lot of components inside of the MPLS, and to make sure that the PE devices are communicating with each other and to transfer the information about the VRFs and how to reach some networks are used by the multi-protocol BGP protocol, and there are some separate sessions to transfer this information. So you can also have two customers in two different VPNs with the same network information. So both are in the network 10.2.0.0, and both, the one is located in VPN A and the other one is located in VPN B. So it's not really useful if you are saying, okay, we have to separate every customer with some network information. You can use a couple of the same network information on different customers inside of this MPLS network. Okay. What about the MPLS VPN Trust Model? If you are going to a provider and you're saying to them, oh, we want to buy some MPLS, or we want to implement MPLS inside of our network, they all assumed it's trusted. The core is trusted. So everyone says MPLS is a trusted framework. It's not possible to have some attacks outside of the core for inside, and it's no additional security available. So if you're using MPLS, you have no encryption or something else inside the MPLS network. As we said, you can use MD5, but MD5 is not really hard to break.
Okay. Just to make this clear, we are not talking about how to get inside the MPLS cloud. And to perform such attacks, we're assuming we are inside the cloud. If you're just a customer and using the interface provided by MPLS infrastructure service, then you get no chance to get inside the cloud. You're just talking from one location to another by using this cloud, and you get separated in your own VPN. So again, we are not talking about how to get in this position. We're talking about what we can do if we are inside the core network.
Yes, and there are always the debates between some network people and some security people, and the network people will always say, if they are asked, is MPLS secure, and what's about the attacks these guys are showing us, they will say, oh, nobody will ever do this, and you're paranoid. But it's not that paranoid you are thinking. If I go back to this here, what is possible? You can, or when we are at some customer sites and we are bringing up some MPLS networks, we're going to providers, and then sometimes we are asking, oh, is it possible to bring such a PE on the customer side, on our side, for security purposes, because we want to control the PE. And when we ask a couple of providers, one third will say, no, that's not possible. The second third sometimes say, we don't think that's possible. I can ask, but I don't think so. And the third will say, yes, maybe. We have to look, but I think we can do this. So at some customers, there are PEs at the customer side. So they have control over the PE. And this means if you have control over the PE, you can control the core of the MPLS network. So we are not paranoid. And to show you what's possible, if you are inside the core, so if you own an own PE router,